Welcome to the Jerusalem Post's elections arena. I'm joined by General Amos Yadlin, the candidate for the defense minister from the Zionist Union Party. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning.
Good morning. Let's start with the most pressing issue that's facing the state of Israel today, and that is, of course, the Iranian nuclear program. Prime Minister Netanyahu has indicated time and again that his problem is that the deal that seems to be emerging between the Obama administration and the Iranian regime is that it will leave Iran with the infrastructure to continue to enrich uranium. Do you think that the Prime Minister is correct in his analysis of this emerging deal, and is he right to lead a head-on confrontation with the Obama administration?
Yeah, first of all, we don't know what are the parameters of the deal, because the main question is whether it's a bad deal or acceptable deal. We have to go back and remember how we reached for the deal. There was an Israeli military option on the table, which the West took very seriously. And then sanctions were imposed on Iran, not through the Security Council, because there Russia and China veto a serious sanctions, and sanctions were effective since 2012. The Iranians came for negotiation, for an agreement.
Mm-hmm.
The agreement can be a bad deal, and then even the president and the Secretary of State has said that it's better no deal than a bad deal. The Prime Minister wants all the Iranian nuclear capabilities to be dismantled to zero.
Yes.
The rest of the world think that this is not realistic. The question is whether there is a deal very close to here that roll back Iran 2-3 years from the bomb,
Mm-hmm.
or the deal is going to be such a deal that keep Iran so close to the bomb that it will be not effective in case that Iran will break out. So the Prime Minister is now talking again on zero capabilities. This is unrealistic, and the policy that I recommend is to speak with the U.S. administration and the U.S. Congress, the Republicans and the Democrats, to make sure that the deal will be an acceptable deal and not a bad deal. Because my concern is that the administration will reach a bad deal and will define it as an acceptable deal. In this case, I think the Zionist camp will say this is unacceptable as well. But at that moment, only speaking in the Congress is not helping reach an acceptable deal.
So the speech, the planned speech next week by Prime Minister Netanyahu to Congress will not help roll Iran back, will not help stop a bad deal, will only do damage to Israel's security interests, in your opinion?
In a way, it was counterproductive, because there was a bipartisan coalition in the Congress that was about to impose new sanctions pending in case of a bad deal or no deal.
Mm-hmm.
And in a way, the Prime Minister broke this coalition, and the Democrat left it because it was not coordinated with the administration. So by speeches, you are not stopping the Iranian nuclear program that should be stopped.
Yes, okay. You took part during your very long career in the Air Force in the airstrike that destroyed Iraq's nuclear program in Iraq. According to foreign reports, you were the key decision maker in Israel's alleged airstrike on the Syrian nuclear reactor. Is a military strike on Iran's nuclear program still realistic if we're in a situation where a deal has already been reached?
If there is one subject that I'm not discussing in the open, in TV studios, is the details of an Israeli or American military attack on Iranian nuclear facilities. I do say 3 words. It is doable.
And you'll stop at that?
Absolutely.
So what is the best policy for dealing with Iran? Iran poses a double challenge here. We have the nuclear program, and we have its regional proxy network, which is growing all the time. They're now apparently in control of 4 Arab capitals, Baghdad, Beirut, Sana'a, Damascus. What's the best way for dealing with this double challenge from Israel's perspective?
Yeah, you touch on a very important issue. There is concerns in Israel and in some quarters in America that the administration have decided to shift alliances from the traditional alliance of the US with Saudi, Egypt, Israel, Turkey towards Iran as a source of stability in the Middle East. I think this is a big mistake, a big mistake. Iran, as you indicated, is a source of instability, of terror, of regime change and Islamic revolution all over the Middle East. And I think that we have to make sure that such a policy is not the right policy of the administration. And we have to cope with Iran on both channels, The administration and the P5+1 decided that the nuclear danger from Iran is much more formidable than the terror activity. So they limited the agreement only to the nuclear aspect of the Iranian behavior.
Yes.
But in the same time, they have to challenge Iran on every front that they are active with terror. But don't connect it, but do both simultaneously. This is my recommendation.
Okay, and let's move a little closer to home. The Palestinian Authority is at the start of a legal attack on Israel through the international institutions. Do you think that this is preventable? Do you think that the government is handling this attack in the right way? And do you also worry that this may turn into an increase in actual violence in the territories?
The strategy of the Palestinian Authority is to fight with Israel in the diplomatic arena, unilateral moves, and I call it a diplomatic intifada. And Israel should fight with it because it's a war. It's a different kind of war. It's a soft war, but we have to create the organization, the strategy, and the tactic to fight with it. How to win this fight is to differentiate between arguments that easily can be moved aside because they are anti-Semites, they are not right historically, they are not based on facts. And the second part of the attack is on the wrong policy, or a policy that we should change. Because in a way, the Netanyahu government gave this diplomatic attack some ammunition by the settlement policy, by some declarations that help the Palestinians to fight. So if we want to win this war, and we will win this war as well, we have to change some of the Israeli policy, and in the same time, for every move that go against the agreement between Israel and the PA, we have to react.
And over in the Gaza Strip, Hamas and the allied terrorist entities there are rearming very quickly. They're restocking their rocket supplies, and they've restarted work on their terrorism tunnel network. It's not clear whether they crossed into Israel yet or not, but they've certainly begun. Does this mean that the operation during the summer was a failure, or does it mean that this was inevitable and there's no better way to deal with the terrorist threat in the Gaza Strip?
My definition in the summer was, and it was 6 months ago, that it was not a defeat, it was not a decisive victory, it was a strategic tie, strategic asymmetrical tie. Yes, Israel basically won and dropped much more bombs on Gaza than Hamas launched towards Israel. Iron Dome was very effective in cutting one of Hamas' military arm, and the second, the tunnels were cut by IDF. But the fact that at the end of the day, the government was unable to deal with the rearmament of Hamas and the demilitarization of Gaza, in a way, is a failure. And during the summer, I called for a strategy that to hit Hamas and to destroy Hamas much harder than what the government wanted to keep Hamas as an address, as a future address, which I thought is a mistake. I wrote in the first week a New York Times op-ed calling for destroying Hamas as the only way, or weakening Hamas to a point that we will be strong enough to impose in the future that they will not be able to rearm and the PA will be able to take over Gaza. It was not done, and in a way, this what brought us to the strategic tie.
And over in Lebanon, Hezbollah is also rearming very quickly. It's got well over 100,000 rockets and missiles, and it's spreading into southern Syria with Iranian support. How do you rate the government's dealing with that threat?
This is an 8 years policy, and what we saw in the north is a very strong deterrence of Israel vis-à-vis Hezbollah. Hezbollah used to attack before 2006 every second week, every month, kidnapping, snipering, attacking patrols. For 8 years, they did nothing, which show you the strength of deterrence. My concern is that Hezbollah, for the first time, a month ago, attacked and killed 2 Israeli soldiers. And this gives us a warning light, a red light, that maybe deterrence is weakening. And what my expectation from the government is to reestablish deterrence.
Okay, thank you very much. We're out of time. I appreciate you coming and speaking to us. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining us, viewers, and we will see you in the next program of the Jerusalem Post Elections Arena.